is a data security solution lead at Water IT Security and former data security technical specialist at Microsoft. And he's also a conference speaker and podcaster who regularly shares the insights on modern data protection strategies. So today he will be discussing the six data security myths and how to break those myths and with an MVP approach. So here we go, Oliver. The stage is yours.
Thanks a lot, and thanks a lot for inviting me to the conference. I'm really happy to speak today to you. Um, well organized, and yeah, for such a worldwide conference. So it's a one virtual day. You can get some prizes by the end of the day, so stay tuned. And with that, I would like to introduce myself. Or because you already did so. As you said, I'm data security solution lead. So I'm doing Purview projects from morning to the evening, doing this since several years for different companies, and it's I really enjoy being in this realm of the Microsoft stack. I would like to start, before we kick out of the 6 data security myths, I would like to start with the world we live in. I guess so. I followed the previous presentations, and this might be already known. Nevertheless, let's break it through. So, because from what I experience in the news and also with my customers, is that data security incidents might happen anytime, anywhere, and you will see it in the news as well. And from my point of view, they have different kind of flavors. So we have the classical data breaches, where data is disclosed by either external hackers, which get through your security systems and be impersonated as a user, which you have in get all the access which a user has. We have this new kind of hackers hiding into your and applying for jobs which you offer, and they don't really want to start with your company. They just want to get the access to your systems and then start infiltrating it from the inside. And we also have a very known case of that by Kraken, the crypto company, where North Korean hackers really tried to apply for this job, and they made a public case study out of it. So you can find it by Googling. So it's very interesting how they approached it, also from the Kraken side in this case. And of course, we have the data security incidents which happen by employees who leak personal data by accident or with intent. This happens to Tesla, for example, here in Germany, and they leaked personal data to a news outlet, which harmed the reputation of Tesla here in Germany. And what I guess Julian and others also said before, one of the main expectation cases is when people leave your organization. So this is a typical human behavior. You keep the data and you try to gather it, all the data which you have generated in during your sprint with the company, and then you might use it for your next company, not with the intent to harm the former company, just to have a speed start at the new company. Nevertheless, it's your data which leaves the company and which might harm you. So this breaks down to external risks from social engineering, credential theft, and phishing, which are the typical ones. On a higher level, you have the former employees, inattentive users, and by a guy, which means you can easily put 10,000 or 20,000 bucks on the table, and you will find someone in the company who gives you access to the data you would like to have, or even share credentials with you for a weekend, and after the weekend the user can change the password or similar. Nevertheless, the data is gone in this time frame. And of course, we have the typical and well-known channels where data is exfiltrated. So USB, cloud upload, email, and insecure devices. This is still and will be for some days the main exfiltration passes. So this is where we are. This is the work we have to tackle. And from my experience, data security projects tend to be delayed or not having the right focus. And I hear several myths by that, why to not start a data security project. And this is what the session is all about, to go through the myths and start going into the details of that. So the first one is you need to know all your data before you can even start, or you put a label and several labels on everything with, I don't know, 20 to 50 labels in a tenant. DLP will destroy the productivity. I trust my employees, so I don't need insider risk. Or my SOC does not need any security insights. They are focused on the threat protection threats. And finally, my business will hate me for implementing data security at all. So maybe some of you and some of the myths are familiar to you and what you experience in your company. And I'm welcoming you to join me on the journey now through all the myths, and let's go into the details. Starting with the first one, you need to know all your data to start with the data security implementation. This is a classic myth I've seen in many companies. So it's based on the idea that if I don't know what I have, I cannot protect it. And what it leads to is that you start searching for your important documents. You maybe have a classification scheme where you try to find different labels for different areas of your company, so for different document types. And when you're ready with everything, then you start again, because it took so much time to get all this information. And it also leads to projects which are very long lasting before you even start implementing any policy at all in your company. What I suggest and what I would really recommend is to start way faster with data security projects. And this is possible if you think about data security like in a software project, as also an MVP approach, which you can use. MVP, minimal viable product, not the Microsoft MVP for today. And what does it mean? What does it focus on? The MVP for data security is focusing on protecting information which you don't know from going outside of your company, because this is let's say, the basic foundation and the basic idea of data security at all. To do so, from my point of view, you need a very simple label set, which you will see later in the presentation. You need to control the data flow based on this label set and utilize signals to see what you are missing with labels and DLP. And this is a kind of a Pareto principle with reasonable defaults. It's not fitting all of your use cases for sure, but it's the rock solid foundation to go into the details and all the more sophisticated use cases you have in your company. So this is what I would answer to the question. I need to know all of my data before I can even start. I think just switching gears and going for security first idea in data security will help you to at least reach the 80%, even without having all the data in place. If you think about how you would like to treat sensitive data. What's in our toolbox and what is Microsoft providing us? I think in this for this company, you all know the three main products or solutions Microsoft is offering in Purview. We have information protection, data loss prevention, and insider risk, and all of them help you to fulfill this default security for your data which resides inside your tenant and control what's flowing in and what is flowing out. And with that, for me, the first myth is busted. So I'm pretty confident that you do not need to know all the data in your company to start a data security project. If you change your mind, if you think about every information is valuable in the first place and you share your data with externals only intentionally, this kind of mind shift will help you to start a base data security layer in your system right away with very simple techniques which we go through in the next minutes. And this means you're building from base to edge. Start with the baseline, go to your edge cases and sophisticated use cases afterwards. The second myth is labeling is the answer to everything, which does not mean that you do not have to label all the content, but also label everything with a special label before even again doing most of the projects I have seen. You have this white Excel spreadsheets with all the classification schemes and so on, document types, metrics, before you again even start at all. And I would like to introduce a very simple traffic light label taxonomy for this MVP approach, because this is, from my understanding, how you as a company can start building the foundation for everything what you want to do with Purview later on and what you have heard throughout the day already from the other speakers. So in this scheme, we have only three main label categories. We have the green label, which basically has no restriction at all. So it allows you to This label allows you to share the content inside the company and outside the company without any restrictions. The main label for the concept of an MVP approach is the yellow one. And the experts here in the group may have seen that I named it yellow default, and this default label is not encrypted. So meaning all new content, an email or a document in the Office format will be labeled with yellow default in the creation process or when opening the document when it's not labeled. Why it's not encrypted? Because from my experience, this especially if you start with such an approach, it has too many side effects which might harm the project success overall. So if it's unencrypted, You can still use it with any third-party software, or if you share it with externals, they can just open it and consume the content. So this helps you to introduce this concept easily, also very easy for your employees. If you have further restrictions on your content, you can change the label to all company, which I highly recommend to introduce. So the all company label allows everyone in the company to consume the content, so which means we trust each other, even though they might have not access to the storage location, like the SharePoint where the document resides. If by any means this document is flowing outside the location, only people of your company can consume it. And if you have further requirements to reduce the number of people with access to the content, you can use the yellow individual label, which means you specify who has access to the document, and by that only the group of people you define will be able to open it, even if they get access to the file location. And finally, of course, we have the red label, which means we have critical, already known data, your highest rated and sensitive data in your company, and this is for sure encrypted because this needs to be protected, otherwise it would not be read. So this allows you to classify on a very, very simple approach how data is labeled in your company. And from my experience, this traffic light taxonomy helps users to understand what they should do with the data, because it's easy, you know it from driving with the car, and and have a good feeling what does it mean to you, instead of having confidential, strictly confidential, whatever. People tend not to know what it's meant for. You see the Learn More button here. I highly also recommend to use this. It's a link to your SharePoint site, for example, to explain the concept, and users can click on it to learn more about how they should use it and what they can do if a document is labeled. So it reduces the tickets you might have. And knowing that this is a very, very simple concept, of course, you need to move on after you implemented the first stage. So based on this concept, use what you have in data security posture management, use the trends, see where people are doing relabeling all the time. You can do this with the standard Microsoft reporting, or you can also build your own reports. So this is an easy way to start solid and then optimize and grow over time with your label concept. And with that, also myth 2 is busted, so you don't need thousands of labels, hundreds of labels. I think with a very, very easy to understand label concept with defaults you apply to your content, you can apply this to your company. You educate your users throughout the process, and you take them with you on a journey to the complete data security enrollment. And the main thing, don't make them think. So use the default as the starting point and monitor where people need to relabel or doing this, and these are the first places to address your special labeling concepts. And with that, I would like to go into myth number 3. DLP destroys user productivity and kicks off the shitstorm. This is what I typically hear. So people start with labeling and then they do nothing more. For me, this is just a patch, and it does not help you to secure your environment in any means. So in the approach of an MVP, an easy to understand DLP taxonomy is also created based on the labels you just have seen before. There are 3 DLP categories. Let me start with the green one. The green one is blocking or block with override all the content going outside your company via email and SharePoint, which is not labeled. So this is the answer to the question, do I need to label each and every document before I can even start? From my point of view, no, you don't need to do that. You can implement this DLP policy here, and with that, your content will be labeled over time. And as long as the document stays on your SharePoint, on your file system, you don't even care about labeling because it's not moved. So it's under control, and you can do this later in the process of the project. The yellow DLP policy, again, is the one which has the most impact on data security, together with the yellow label you have already implemented in your system. What is the yellow DLP policy meant for? The yellow DLP policy blocks sharing content in the first place if it's labeled yellow. Remember, the yellow label is the default label. So if someone wants to share a document without thinking through, so just clicking on the share button, it will be blocked by DLP, and you need to give a business justification why you want to share this. This allows us to implement a stop in the mind of the users before sharing something. It also means if a user shares something, there was an intentional change in, there was an intentional will or change in the system, and it's documented. So with very easy tools, you do not destroy any business process because sharing is still allowed. Nevertheless, you make your users think twice before sharing content to the external parties. And of course, the red DLP policy blocks everything which is red, maybe with exceptions for critical use cases and special use cases, but this is again, you have now the time with this base concept to work on this critical cases afterwards. And with this config, also myth number 3 is destroyed and busted from my point of view. Let me summarize what we have seen with the DLP. Use smart boundaries, not roadblocks. Make your users think what they want to share, but still allow them to do so. This is just a few clicks more, but all the processes will work on. This is simple to train, simple to educate your users. And if you use the block override with your yellow data, you get a higher security bar for data which is flowing out of your system. And with the block unlabeled documents, you will over time label all the content which is touched and shared with external parties, and red allows you to take care of your very sensitive data and providing a technical blocker, not that this data is not flowing out of your company. Risk number 4, and this is what I've heard also a lot of times, especially here in Germany, is that we don't need insider risk because we trust our employees, and as everyone knows, you should not trust anyone at all. So what is insider risk meant for? Insider risk should detect the unusual and risky patterns your users are doing and having with the data. So while labeling and DLP is more content-centric, insider risk will focus on what the users are doing. And in the sessions before, we heard a lot of the details of insider risk. I would like to focus again on a traffic light concept with the starting points, the trigger events, which you should think through when doing the MVP concept for data security. Because from what I've seen in the projects, there are 3 main trigger points when data exfiltration starts. One is an easy way for me to start is if there is a security violation detected by the endpoint or on the endpoint. So if the Defender products detect an incident on the device, why not starting an insider risk investigation, which allows you to see if the user or the attacker has already got access to the user and start exfiltrating data through this device. So this is an easy trigger to start with. The second trigger is the yellow one, which is meant if someone tries to share red data and runs into a high DLP alert. This is also, again, a good trigger to see what's going on. Why has this user now started or trying to exfiltrate red data? Was this the only incident, or do we have more information to see that the user is behaving risky? And the last one, the red one, is the one which I again highly recommend to implement here in your systems. It's when people are leaving your company. So as said at the beginning, this is always, really always, with all our customers, with all the experience, with all the reports and analytics from the outside, this is where data is flowing out of your company and your environments. So connect your HR system or do a manual process, however you want to implement it. But if you know that someone will leave the company, start investigating if they are doing risky things and stuff which you don't want to happen in the first place. It has not only a technical component from my point of view, it also has a psychological component, because if your employees know that insider risk is active and working in your company, they will think twice before moving data out of your system. And as insider risk is the, let's say, the most sophisticated and helpful tool in this stack, I would like to go briefly over the incident, which you can see. So you always see a trigger event, which is in this case the HR connector, saying that this user will leave the company. You have some information about if it's a high impact user, and you can also see that there are high severity exploitation actions already detected, so you get a first glimpse on what the user or if this is really an incident you should take care of. And if you go into the user activity view, you see all the activities combined for this incident. And the most helpful part is the sequence view in Insider Risk. So it's not that you just see one alert and this is a DLP alert. You can see and combine the actions a user has done, which you deem as a sequence, as a risk for your company. So in this case, the user downloaded files from SharePoint, renamed the files, printed them, and deleted them afterwards. So all this together is detected by machine learning and is deemed risky for your company and helps you to identify the cases you would like to investigate further, maybe bring to court or stop it right away with adaptive protection, which was in the session before. Yes, and with that, this was, from my point of view, also busted. Use Insider Risk to detect what's unusual in your tenant, detect the unexpected behavior of your users, and identify these critical patterns to respond to the cases and protect your data from the inside. Activate analytics. This is a recommendation I would like to provide because you see all the exfiltration and insider risk actions on report level, not on user level. So it's a first idea what's going on in your tenant, and then create the policies as explained and integrate the incidents in your SOC, because that's the right place to start, even though you also need to build a process out of the SOC, engaging HR and your legal if there is a real case, so they need to take it over and decide what's going on with the user who wants to exfiltrate or has exfiltrated data. This number 5 is your SOC does not need the data security insights, so they are doing the threat protection part, and what should they do with all the data security signals. I'm personally, but also Microsoft has a different view on that. So they combined the Microsoft Defender XDR and Purview portal also on the alerting part. And this allows you to bring data security context in your investigations of compromised users and other threat protection alerts, because you can then sort out the different alertings and see which of the incidents is more critical than the other, because it's having impact on sensitive data, or even what we'll see later, the system already detects that the user is also having a high insider risk score. So the insider risk score is then encompassed into your investigation, so you can have, or you will have, more signals and more insights to analyze the incident. And finally, Defender XDR Advanced Hunting tables are available for data security. So all the good things you are doing with your alert tables and hunting queries is also possible to do now with the insider risk signals. What does it mean? So in the multi-stage incident view, in this case in Defender, you also see the DLP alerts, which applied to the users, so you can see what's going on there. And you see that in this case, the well-known Megan Bone from Microsoft or from Contoso has already a high user risk applied by insider risk. So this information on the incident gives you ideas how to treat them. And also on the attack story, you will see the purview signals here to get a better understanding what has happened and to prioritize your incidents. And finally, as said, data security behavior and data security events are now part of the advanced hunting. So this helps you to understand what kind of data was involved in an incident and to really see the impact of the incident. And this can all be done with the known tools your SOC already has in place. So they can use their queries to extend it to data security behavior to see the real case, let's say it like that. And with that, SOC number 5, myth number 5 is also busted. If you integrate the purview signals into your SOC, you will have better insights. You can correlate various attacks from internal and external information sources, and with sophisticated SOC playbooks, you can really work on this in an automated way, also in Sentinel, for example, which helps you to get and to limit the blast radius of an incident even further. Coming to the last myth we have, so my business will hate me for implementing data security. And again, I have a funny GIF to show, yeah, this is what your business is doing on your IT desk. Happy that we are in the home office more and more. So how to bring data security and make it a success even when implementing just the MVP approach. So you need to have a team built on experts from the technical point of view, but also from the process and legal part. I highly recommend to integrate all your stakeholders from the beginning of your project. So talk to them. What are the requirements? Can they live with that? Integrate them in your POC, so you will not get the IT view of data security. You will also get what's needed from their perspective. And if you do so, I think this is the key and the main driver to make your project a success in the complete company. And if you have these stakeholders as your supporters, you will not be grilled by the user base. So it's an easy to bust myth. So if you integrate everyone from the beginning, this will help you implementing successfully the data security project and MVP in your company. I will come to the end of my session today. So, because how long does it take to implement such a data security MVP project? We had a project with one of our customers. It's a merger and acquisition project. They had no security measures in place. There was intellectual property draining out of the company, so they really need to start quick to implement data security. And by day 10, we already had the scope of the MVP defined and the labels and DLP rules in place. We detected IRM, and this was scoped first of a smaller user group, but then rolled out within 45 days to the company, and we also integrated it into the SOC. That SOC level 1 analyst could go into the details of an incident and escalate to the business unit for further investigations. And from this base security part, we moved on by day 90, and it's still ongoing, and we are implementing the more critical, detailed data security use cases, so they are now protected for data security, and this is what they wanted, because on day 0 they had nothing, and now they have a solid implementation of data security, and they can grow and expand it to the special cases in their company. And I think I'm just right on time for any questions. Is there anyone who would like to ask some questions? All right. And with that, I would like to thank you for participating, and thank you for having me here.